to MUDAS.Museum of Contemporary Art of Madeira, located in Calheta in Madeira Island. MUDAS.Museum was built on the former property Morgadio de Val de Amores. This property belonged to Duarte de Brito and Joana Cabral, great-granddaughter of João Gonçalves Zarco, one of the discoverers of Madeira in 1419. A wealthy house, typical of a rural manor house, built during the 16th century and rebuilt during the 18th century over a pre-existing one, as the date inscribed on the window lintel confirms, 1759. One of its last owners was João Ornelas Cabral, a doctor whose mute daughters died without leaving any descendants in 1952. The property was then sold by Francisco José de Gouveia to the General Government of Funchal. In the 90s, the regional government restored Casa das Mudas and transformed it into Casa das Mudas, Casa da Cultura da Calheta. Since then, it integrates Calheta's municipal library and the temporary exhibition art gallery. A decade later, a huge enlargement of the space was carried out, resulting in the opening of Centro das Artes, Casa das Mudas in 2004. This project was designed by the Madeiran architect Paulo David. It was nominated for the Miss Van der Rohe Award, the European Union Prize for Contemporary Architecture in 2005, and won the International Architecture Prize Alvar Aalto Medal in 2012. Paulo David's work respects, above all, the characteristics of its homeland, Madeira Island, due to its perfect integration in the landscape. The chosen material was basalt due to its texture and color, as a way to approach it to nature as if it were part of the surrounding scenery and to promote the idea of landscape continuity. Centro das Artes Casa das Mudas has carried out numerous temporary exhibition projects throughout its 11 years of existence, from 2004 to 2015. In 2015, when the Museum of Contemporary Art of Funchal was transferred to Centro das Artes Casa das Mudas in Calheta, it was renamed MUDAS.Museum of Contemporary Art of Madeira. This vast architectural complex includes exhibition rooms, shop, workshop rooms, library, auditorium, restaurant, and a car park. This museum results from transferring the collection which belonged to the former Museum of Contemporary Art of Funchal from the historic fortress of Santiago, where it had been since 1992. However, its space had become too small for the dimension of the current collection. This collection consists of Portuguese contemporary art from the 60s to the present day. Its founding nucleus incorporates the acquisitions from the first and second Portuguese modern art exhibitions and Cidade do Funchal Prize, awarded during the two editions of this exhibition in 1966 and 67. The current exhibition, O Princípio do Invisível, was virtually opened in April 2020. The works that form the founding nucleus of the collection of the Museum of Contemporary Art of Madeira, along with many others, are on display on this exhibition. Among the above-mentioned works, we highlight the work by Joaquim Rodrigo, Guarda Noturno, acquired during the first modern art exhibition in 1966. This painting, which received the City of Funchal Grand Prize, dates from 1961 and focuses on the search for figurative representation and the narrative of the real, through the creation of its own symbolic language, which was strongly critical of the political and social context of that time, the Salazar's dictatorship. Joaquim Rodrigo was a self-taught Portuguese painter and an agricultural engineer by profession. He passed away in 1997, aged 84. The second City of Funchal Prize in 1966 was awarded to Nuno Siqueira with the work Estudo para Humanômetro from 1965. This painting represents the transition between semi-figurativism and an informal abstraction. It is a composition structured by fields of color in rectangles, defined by gradations of light and chromatic alternations, with the inclusion of figurative elements. Nuno Siqueira was a Portuguese painter. He worked with Almada Negreiros, was mentored by Vieira da Silva, and influenced by the painting of Arpad Zentes. This painter passed away in 2007, aged 78. The 1965 painting Abertura para o Espaço Ilusório by Artur Rosa was also acquired during the first exhibition of modern art in Funchal in 1966. It is an abstract composition, geometric in nature, schematically organized by black lines that converge towards a central vanishing point composed of rectangular mirror fragments. Artur Rosa was a Portuguese architect and sculptor, a pioneer of optical art in Portugal. For over 50 years, he recorded through photography the artistic life of one of the most international Portuguese artists, Helena Almeida, to whom he was married. He passed away in March 2020, aged 94. The works awarded and acquired in this first exhibition led to the beginning of a public contemporary art collection in Madeira Island. Painting number 1 from 1966 by Helena Almeida was acquired during the second exhibition of Portuguese modern art in Funchal in 1967. It is an abstract composition corresponding to the initial phase of the artist's career, of geometric nature, formed by fields of color structured into rectangles and squares, defined by chromatic gradations and alternations, organized in a cascade from the upper part of the canvas. Helena Almeida began her career in the 60s and was an outstanding artist in the contemporary Portuguese art scene. She passed away in 2018, aged 84. We now introduce one of the Madeiran plastic artists included in Madeira's contemporary art collection, Lourdes Castro. She was awarded the Medal of Cultural Merit for her unquestionable contribution to Portuguese culture on the 9th of December 2020, the day she turned 90 years old. She was born in the city of Funchal in Madeira Island, to where she returned in 1983 after living 25 years abroad, namely in Paris and Munich. The island where she was born was always a place to return to, of memories and inspiration for many of her works. The concept of shadow became central to most of her artistic production, as one can see in the painting Sombra Projetada de Isaura Muniz de Betancourt from 1964, and in the work Sombra Deitada from 1970, a sheet embroidered with the outline of the shadow of a person lying down. The following two works belong to the Regional Public Library of Madeira, but are on deposit at MUDAS.Museum: the serigraph Ombre d'Arralia from 1973 and the Great Herbarium of Shadows. This work was created by Lourdes Castro in 1972 on Madeira Island. It contains about 100 botanical species and is characterized by keeping shadows fixed directly by the sun on heliographic paper. In the painting Shadows of Flowers from Madeira from 1985, there are 8 different species of Madeiran flora in shadow, painted on plexiglass. Finally, we have the series of 6 pieces of serigraphy on plexiglass, dating from 1985. These last ones were made by order for the Central Post Office in Avenida Zarco, where they were exhibited. These pieces symbolize the mail bags used by postmen in various stages from empty to full. We end our presentation with Maria Helena Vieira da Silva, considered one of the greatest Portuguese plastic artists of all times. She was born in Lisbon, but spent much of her artistic career in Paris, where she had contact with some of the main avant-garde artists. She married Arpad Zenj, a Hungarian artist of Jewish origin, with whom she shared her life and passion for art. Vieira da Silva received and mentored several Portuguese artists in Paris. In 1990, the Arpad Zenj Vieira da Silva Foundation was created, and in 1994, the museum dedicated to the life and work of these two artists was open to the public. Vieira da Silva passed away in 1992 at the age of 83. The themes of her works focus on cities and their architecture, libraries, tiles, tapestries, stained glass, and even the illustration of short stories. Spatial fragmentation, a characteristic that places her in the line of abstraction, is one of the main features of her painting. Perspective, the plane, and urban structures are a constant concern in her compositions, as well as color, an element which emphasizes the plasticity of her works. This gouache painting, entitled From 1956, is one of the great testimonies of Vieira da Silva's work, dedicated to Madame Lamy, and is the oldest work on display. Many other Portuguese artists have not been included in this presentation. Thus, we would recommend a virtual visit to the following site.